set each other off among green hills and trees. An architecture complex covered with yellow glazed tiles look like myriads of ingeniously constructed small palaces. They are of different shapes. Some are tall and lofty, others are small and exquisite. They were arranged and outspread according to some specific demands. Here is a graveyard of ancient Chinese royalty. In Chinese history, the Royal Mausoleum is a peak for the art of the architecture beside the royal palace. At the same time, the Chinese also embodied their understanding for the laws of the universe and the world in these structures. Up to the 14th century of Ming Dynasty, the Royal Mausoleum in China had formed an integrated set of rules, which lasted till the end of the 19th century and spanned two dynasties of Ming and Qing. Listed in World Heritage, the Royal Mausoleums of Ming and Qing consisted of 6 groups, which formed an irregular quadrangle based on their terrain distributions. Located in Nanjing, the Ming Mausoleum, the tomb for Zhu Yuanzhang, the first emperor of Ming Dynasty, is the first masterpiece of Ming and Qing royal mausoleums. Located in Hubei, the Ming Mausoleum is only an episode, where an emperor of Ming Dynasty recognized as emperor posthumously was buried. 3 emperors of Qing Dynasty were buried in Shenjin, now in Liaoning province, who did not get the power to reign the whole China and were only rulers over northeast China. However, the essences of Ming and Qing royal mausoleums were all located around Beijing city, and they are the Ming Tombs, the Western Imperial Mausoleum of Qing Dynasty, and the Eastern Imperial Mausoleum of Qing Dynasty. Located in the outskirts of Beijing, the Ming Tombs, altogether 13 mausoleums for 13 emperors of Ming Dynasty, were the largest and most intact imperial tombs in the world. It took more than 230 years off and on from earthbreaking to completion. In ancient China, people used to believe in geomancy religiously and pursue the harmony between man and natural surroundings. From site selection to design, special importance was attached to the harmony and unification between constructions and nature. It is such idea that gives prominence to the integrity of the Ming tombs. Although each mausoleum was respectively built before a mountain and was independent of the others, all the mausoleums arranged along 2 sides of the Changling Mausoleum according to hierarchy, spread like a fan. Located before the highest peak in Tianshou Mountain, the Changling Mausoleum, which is the tomb of Zhu Di, the 3rd emperor of Ming Dynasty, is the largest and earliest one. The stone archway, as the entrance to the Changling Mausoleum and the whole graveyard, is the largest one of the stone archways extant in China. Going forward along the stone archway, a gate overhaul painted in vermilion can be seen, which is the main gate to the tomb proper and is called the Da Hong Man, the Vermilion Gate. Going through the Vermilion Gate, you step on a wide divine lane, which is 7.3 kilometers in length. It is not only the divine lane of the Chang Mausoleum, but also the general divine lane of the Ming tombs. The first architecture on the divine lane is the stone pavilion, and the steles in the stone pavilion were inscribed on the achievements of Zhu Di, the owner of the tomb. The strange animal with the stele on its back is called Bi Shi, It was said that BC, the sixth son of the dragon, was very powerful and had carried immortal mountains on the sea. The stele on BC is a symbol that the intrinsic weight of the monument is very significant. Behind the stele is a group of stone carvings composed of 24 stone beasts and 12 stone figures, which symbolizes the honor guards before the death of the monarch. The after-death palace for the emperor is a big yard enclosed by a wall, which is a square in the front and round at the back. In the second yard stands the Ling Palace, means Palace of Happiness and Gratitude, which is the most eminent architecture among the Ming Tombs. Its construction by the imitation of the Ming Palace of the Imperial Palace denotes that the emperor would still possess the highest authority in the afterworld. The Ming Hall is supported by 60 large golden namu, which are planted in forests in remote mountains in South China, and its output is very low because duration to be used as timber takes at least 400 or 500 years. Therefore, the felling and the transportation are extremely difficult. Its woodiness is of solidity and decay-proof, and accordingly is regarded as the most cherished and high-grade building materials. Over 500 years, the pillars are still as secure as before. The third courtyard of the Ling Mausoleum was where the emperor was buried, at the end of which was a round part of the mausoleum called the Baochang, the treasured city. Looking from its appearance, it looks like a round closed castle. The grave mound of the emperor, called the Baoshan, the treasured hill, is like a small hill. It is the underground palace of the emperor. A Minglo, the tallest building above ground in an emperor's mausoleum, which is equal to the city gate archway, is built before the Baochang. The Minglo is not only the symbol but also the tallest building on the central line of each mausoleum. Today we are very lucky to mount the Minglo. Yet hundreds of years ago, this honor only belonged to few people of the empire. If you want to explore the mystery of the underground palace, you can go to the Ling Mausoleum, which is the tomb of Emperor Wanli, the 13th emperor of Ming Dynasty. The Chinese archaeological team carried out the archaeological excavation and uncovered the mysterious veil of the underground palace of the Ling Mausoleum in 1956. The underground palace of the Ling Mausoleum is composed of 5 tall and wide stone halls positioned in the front, middle, back, right, and left respectively. The middle hall represents the living room of the emperor. The back hall is the main part, which represents the bedroom of the emperor. The cultural relics unearthed from the Ling underground palace are over 3,000 pieces, and most of which are daily utilities of Emperor Wanli and his 2 queens, including gold and silver wares, beautiful clothes, and hats. On the phoenix coronet worn by the emperors was beset 3,500 pearls and 195 gems. The Ming Tombs have now become a tourist attraction to people in and outside Beijing. Visitors from all over the world come here every day. The Ling Mausoleum as a model of overground building, the Ling Mausoleum as a model of underground mysterious palace, and the Ling Mausoleum as a model of restoration are all open to the world. One day in 17th century, an emperor came here by chance while hunting. Seeing the uncommon vigor of the mountain, he decided to establish the imperial mausoleum here. This emperor was Shunzhi, the first emperor of Qing dynasty. Qing was the last feudalist dynasty in China and began to reign China in 1644. Although the rulers of Qing dynasty were minority ethnic group of Man, they were greatly influenced by the culture of Han after obtaining the regime. They followed the Ming rules in whatever governing ways or etiquette, and the imperial mausoleum is no exception. From the Ling, the first mausoleum of the Eastern Mausoleum of Qing dynasty, we can see clearly that the imperial mausoleums of Qing dynasty all imitated the Ming tombs, whether in planning or constructing. They adopted the way of concentrated mausoleum size and the arrangement of a general entrance, beginning from the front of a milling gate, going along a unified divine limbs, stone carvings, stellar pavilions, and then reaching each mausoleum separately. Each mausoleum also emphasized the harmony between architecture and environment, and it was requested that the selected environment fully embody the concept that man is an integral part of nature, and the serial constructions echoed with topographical features of mountain and rivers. Located northwest of the Zunhua city in Hebei province, the Eastern Imperial Mausoleums of Qing dynasty include 5 emperors' tombs. Located in Yixian County of Hebei province, the Western Imperial Mausoleums of Qing dynasty are burial places for 4 emperors and their families. The 2 mausoleums are over 200 kilometers apart. Strictly speaking, it does not accord with traditional Chinese courtesy. Why can such a layout be formed? When Emperor Shunzhi died in 1661, he was buried in the Eastern Mausoleum. More than 60 years, a grandson of him, Emperor Yongzheng, also chose his burial place in the Eastern Mausoleum. However, he was not satisfied with that site afterward, and ordered his ministers to have another place selected. Finally, a place in remote mountains in Yixian County was chosen. That was the beginning of the second mausoleum of Qing dynasty, the Western Mausoleum. And since then, the emperors of Qing dynasty were buried in the Eastern or Western Mausoleum. Generally speaking, the grandson was buried following his grandfather. The mausoleum of Yongzheng is called the Ling, which is the first tomb in the Western Mausoleum. The most outstanding feature of the Ling is its crimson gate. 3 memorial arches were established on the wide square. The 3 memorial arches and the vermilion gate in the north form a courtyard, which is unique among all the imperial mausoleums. Each memorial arch is very high, which is decorated with refined and complicated carvings. Of the time the Ling was built, Qing dynasty was in the prime of its power and splendor. Therefore, its scale is larger than the other mausoleums. The buildings in the mausoleum are over 60. Compared with the Ling, this mausoleum looks somewhat simple. It is a tomb of Dao Guang, the 8th emperor of Qing dynasty. In his time, China was in a period of turbulence and the national power was weak and his achievements were average. So he decreed to get rid of many buildings that aimed to exhibit merits. The Ling looks simple and restrained. The main hall, the Long En Hall, the Hall of Grand Grace, lacks the usual 2 layers of eaves and only has 1 layer. But if you look carefully at a certain part of the building, a special impression will fall on you. Originally, the whole structure is built of golden namu, which is rather costly. What's more unimaginable is the decorations of the palace. There were more than 1,000 stereoscopic dragon heads decorated on the corridors and ceilings of the hall. They are all carved of golden namu, and the technique is extremely delicate. The mound of the Ling in this mausoleum is also different from those in other mausoleums. The enclosing hillock is not According to the rules, Emperor Xianfeng, the son of Emperor Daoguang, was buried in the Eastern Mausoleum of Qing dynasty. Along with him were Ci'an and Cixi, the two of his empresses. Looking from appearances, the tombs of the two empresses, divided only by a brook, look almost the same. But actually, the inner parts of the two tombs are quite different. The tomb on the west is the most extravagant one in decoration of all the Chinese ancient imperial mausoleums. It even exceeded that of an emperor. That is because the owner of this tomb, Dowager Cixi, once reigned Emperor Qing for nearly half a century in the 19th century. Although the treasury was hollow at that time, Cixi, on the pretext that her tomb was out of repair for years, ordered to have it rebuilt, which took 13 years. It is interesting that most carvings patterns are phoenix above a dragon, or flying phoenix followed by a dragon. In ancient China, the phoenix represented the empress, while the dragon represented the emperor. Normally, the dragon takes precedence to the phoenix. However, the carvings in Cixi's are an indication of women taking the reign of a country. Cixi was fond of extravagancy. The timber for rebuilding the Long'an Hall was yellow osier Henry, which is only second to golden Namu in price. And flying dragons drawn with golden powder are seen here and there, and it is said that there were more than 2,000 dragons. The vermilion-painted stone steps leading to the palace hall are made employing the technique of high relief with fretwork, which has incarnated the animation into the phoenix flying in the air and dragon coming out of water. It is a rare masterpiece of stone carving. Colored pictures gilded with gold, walls painted with gold, coiled dragons plated with gold, and delicately carved stone railings, which are not only unique in imperial mausoleums but also hard to be seen in imperial palaces. But only 20 years after Cixi's death, her tomb was looted by a warlord. Another tomb that got looted was the Yuling Mausoleum of Emperor Qianlong. Therefore, we can have the chance to see the underground palace of the Yuling. Beginning from the first stone gate, carvings about the theme of Buddhism can be seen on the walls and arches over the gateway. And there were still more than 30,000 words of Tibetan language and Sanskrit scriptures. The craftsmanship is accomplished, the lines are fluency, the statues are vivid, the layout is precise, and it is honored as a solemn underground Buddhist temple. Emperor Qianlong lived 89 years of life and 60 years of throne, whose lifespan was the longest of all the emperors of ancient China. 500 meters west of the Yuling, a special graveyard was built as a burial place for Qianlong's empresses. High-ranked and low-ranked imperial concubines, 40 in total. From the size of each mound, you can judge their status when in life. Under the setting sun, the grave mounds, big and small, seem to be pouring out ups and downs of the history. Extravagancy and disasters have been bygones. Today, those silent imperial mausoleums have become landscapes of human cultures, which endow visitors with great appreciation and admiration. Meanwhile, remind them of infinite reveries and emotions.